What up, guys? Back again. Got two Jeeps in my shop right now. No surprise there. These things are awful. Wouldn't recommend buying them. Don't buy Jeeps. I mean, the Wranglers are pretty cool. The 3.6 has its issues. The 4-cylinder turbo has its issues. But those aren't terrible. But these things, the Compasses, the Patriots, these bottom dollar, no plot, buy here, pay here cars, just don't buy them. I wouldn't sell this to my worst enemy. Today, the video that I wanted to make was going to be on mechanical misfires, because I see so many of them, and I know other shops that are struggling with them. You know, it could be a guy that's been doing this 10 years and he's thrown coil packs at it, he's done injectors, he's done spark plugs, and with the type of aftermarket parts that we're getting now after COVID, sometimes they're making the problem even worse. They're putting bad parts on it when they're taking perfectly good parts off and putting junk ones on from China. It happens all the time now. But I wanted to make a quick video on mechanical misfires and how I go about attacking these things. Let me switch this around. Alright. So this is the 2.4 liter. I mean, there's no problem. Like, if you got a misfire on one cylinder, do some swapnostics and just swap coils around. There's nothing wrong with that. Just, to come in here and throw parts at something without doing any real testing and confirming a problem, you're throwing away money for customers, for your boss, you're ruining your reputation. Just don't do it. What I wanted to do was let you guys hear a mechanical misfire, and the quickest way that I attack these things. I'll show you how I do it. So this is my misfire data. It's using the crank sensor and the knock sensors and whatnot to sense the misfire. So you can see cylinder 3 at idle. It's obviously an issue. Got zeros on all the other cylinders. Seems to be worse once it's hot, so I'm letting it warm up a little. Okay, so you can see I got my injector wires pulled off. I also pulled the coils. You don't have to do it like this. An easier way, everything's on top on this motor, so that's why I did it this way. But say you have a V6 and one bank is covered by an intake manifold, or otherwise hard to get to, you could just come to your fuse panel. You could pull a fuel pump fuse, ignition fuse, and you're done. You're ready to go. And I've done that lots of times. It works fine. Let me turn this compressor off because it's noisy, because I want you guys to listen to what it sounds like while cranking. And that's basically how I make these diagnoses so quick, is that I know what it sounds like to have a mechanical misfire. And this is something that was taught to me a long time ago. Alright, I'm going to crank it over. Now, did you hear how every third crank was kind of rapid? That's because cylinder 3 has a mechanical issue. Next step, just to confirm it for the customer, would be, I'm not even going to swap coils or any of this stuff that wastes my time. I'm going to pull the number 3 plug out, stick a compression tester on it, and see what we got. I may pull the one next to it just to compare it, so let's do that. Now, the spark plugs look like hell. Whoops. Oh, return defective. Anyways, they do look like hell. You know, if you weren't going the route that I'm going, you might say, hey, well, let's just throw some spark plugs in this. But why waste $32? Because it's not going to fix anything. Don't do stuff like that. This plug, yeah, it's old and it needs to be replaced, but it's not going to fix the customer concern. Alright, let's do a quick compression test. See if I can perch my camera up here. There we go. Okay, so that's cylinder 2. That was the cylinder that wasn't misfiring. Looks like we got about 195 psi on that cylinder, which is good for this engine. And always check what a known good compression is. These engines need about 190 when they're warmed up. And we'll go ahead and check 3, which is our problem cylinder, and see what we got. Alright, we're on cylinder 3 now. I'm going to crank it up. You see there, maybe 75, yeah, 75 psi. We had 190 or 195 on cylinder 2, so confirmed that problem. We know not to go any further on this thing. It's going to be a car that we punt. We're not going to spend any more money on this thing. Let someone else rebuild the cylinder head, right? It's just not in the cards for us. So something worth mentioning, you know, say you test all 4 and they're kind of close, the maximum allowance between cylinders is 10% or 10 psi. So if you have 200 across the board except one cylinder is 175, it still shows that there's an issue. So but always look up service info, you know, Pro Demand or Identifix, whatever you use. All data, they're all good as far as finding this kind of information. Wouldn't rely on Google unless you absolutely had to. So when I said it needs, you know, work done to the cylinder head, that's because I knew this had some type of valve issue just by listening before I did any of this. That's how I decided what direction to go. Granted, I usually go this direction anyway with a Misfire, but at least to start. But I'm going to see if I can get on camera what I was hearing, and I left this little intake baffle off because it kind of amplifies the sound I was hearing, which is actually a little pop through the intake. It's basically one of the intake valves on cylinder 3 either has a cracked seat or just a cracked valve or something like that. Or maybe a bad spring, could be anything. You could have low compression just from having worn rings or a stuck ring or something like that, absolutely. But in this particular case, without even looking down in there, I can hear compression popping out of this thing. So let me see if I can catch that on camera for you. I'm not sure if that noise is transferring through the phone, but I can hear just a real faint pop coming through this air box. As I've said in previous videos, your best tool is your eyes and your ears, so use them. That's really where I started my diagnosis, was by listening to this thing. I didn't waste any time or any money on this, and that's the best way to do it. That's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe. Appreciate it.